I don't know about you, but I'm so excited for the next season of The Bear to come out. Before I'd even watched The Bear, the first thing that I heard about the show was everyone online freaking out about the main character Carmy's white t-shirt. After watching, I'm not surprised at all because The Bear is low-key a menswear show disguised as a cooking show. You may have seen the same Twitter thread I did and quickly discovered that Carmy's white t-shirt is from Merz Schwanen and it's €80, which is about 86 US dollars. In today's video, I'm gonna break down why the shirt costs what it does, how you can get the same look for less, and if you stick around till the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can use what you've learned and apply it to your own wardrobe without even buying a new shirt. So the Merz Schwanen shirt, why is it $97? The first detail that stuck out to me in the advertising is that it's a loop-wheeled shirt. When I was doing research for this video, I kept coming across so many articles talking about how incredible loop-wheel knitting is because it's tubular and has no side seams. But I was a little confused why this feature is being praised so highly because a regular Hanes t-shirt also has no side seams. Circular knitting machines are extremely common and are used to produce tubular goods such as shirts, sweatshirts, and even socks. So what really makes loop-wheel knitting unique? On a loop-wheel knitting machine, the fabric is produced slowly with a lower amount of tension on the fabric, as only gravity brings the fabric down as it's being completed. On a high-speed knitting machine, the tubular knit process requires the fabric to be pulled and wrapped around a cylinder neatly and out of the way as new fibers are being knit. As far as I can tell, this just makes the process a little faster and it probably evens out the roll of fabric so the tension is uniform throughout. Another thing that speeds up the process on a high-speed knitting machine is that it will have 24 or more sets of feeders, which are the part of the machine that feeds the yarn to the needle. A loop wheel machine will only have 1 or 2 feeders. This is probably the biggest reason why a loop wheel machine is a much slower process. They can only produce 1 meter of fabric an hour, while a high-speed knitting machine could produce 24 meters in the same amount of time. Now, is this really a big deal? Cam Wolf of GQ says, wearing Merz Schwanen tees is a type of choice someone makes after cycling through dozens of other white t-shirts in search for the absolute perfect one. Another article says this: whereas a cheap, mass-produced t-shirt may last a matter of months, a loop wheel tee will withstand a decade of hard wear and will age gracefully over time. Now, I don't know about you, but my cheap, mass-produced t-shirts have lasted well over months, and in my opinion, any thick cotton t-shirt will age gracefully over time if you take care of it. So while I was researching this, I really had two wolves inside of me. The design nerd in me was just so bought into loop wheel knitting, and I just love the idea of investing in a forever piece, and the logistical side of me was like, $100 for a white t-shirt, I'm gonna be devastated when I inevitably spill coffee on this. And that's how the idea for this video is born. I bought this Gildan t-shirt for my husband and I'm going to alter it to the design details of the Merz Schwanen shirt as best I can. Obviously it won't be loop wheel, but I'll see what I can do. Also, I wanna make a larger point here, which I'll talk more in detail about at the end of this video, but in my opinion, why the shirt took off in popularity in this show is not because of the shirt itself, but it's because it was tailored to fit Jeremy Allen White perfectly. Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, please subscribe. I could talk about tailoring and clothing forever, and if you subscribe, it lets me know that I should keep doing it at a camera. I picked this Gildan shirt because it's pretty heavyweight cotton. The original Merz Schwanen shirt is said to be 8.6 ounces and this one's 6 ounces, and the heaviest weight cotton t-shirt I was able to find was by Champion, but I didn't want to spend time in this video removing the logo for that clean white t-shirt look, so I went with this one. So if you don't know, sometimes the manufacturer will give you the ounces of a t-shirt, and that means that the fabric has been weighed by square yard, and a regular cotton t-shirt can have the weight of around 4 to 5 ounces, and sometimes a manufacturer will give you the fabric weight in grams per square meter or GSM. So a t-shirt can range between 150 to 200 GSM, and if you're shopping online for a white t-shirt, I would recommend going a little bit heavier as lighter weight fabrics can be a little see-through. So if I had to guess, I would say this t-shirt is at least 200 GSM. The main difference I noticed construction-wise between a regular t-shirt and the Merz Schwanen shirt is that the Merz Schwanen shirt has a gusset under the arm for comfort. Personally, I don't think this is making a huge difference in how comfortable your t-shirt is, but these extra seams do add into the time and effort it takes to make this garment, so it adds to the cost. Gussets are a triangular or diamond piece of fabric added to your clothing to add breadth or reduce stress between the seams of your clothes. You've probably seen a gusset in the crotch seam of some leggings, and they just add to the overall lifespan that this piece of clothing will have in your wardrobe. So I'll add the gussets to my Gildan top, and other than that, I plan to hem this shirt so that it'll be a more cropped length like it is on Jeremy Allen White. And because I know someone is going to be disappointed if I don't, I'm going to change the neckband to be applied in the same way that the Merz Schwanen one is. I know I'll need some fabric to make my gussets, so I started altering this shirt by cropping it. I had my husband try the shirt on and I determined it needed to be shortened by 5 inches. So I started the process by folding the shirt exactly where I wanted to end and pressing it so I had a nice crease to mark my hem allowance. Jeremy Allen White's shirt might be cropped a little bit more than this one, but I also wanted to be mindful that crop tops are not necessarily my husband's style, so I kept it to a modest crop. You'll know from my last video that I recently got a cover stitch machine and I was excited to use it for a real project in hemming this shirt. If you don't have a cover stitch machine, however, I would definitely recommend getting a twin needle that you can attach to your regular sewing machine to get a professional look. Next up are the gussets. So I'm going to take my Gildan shirt and mark where I want the triangular piece to go based on my reference photo. My points are 2 inches along either side of the armhole and 2 inches from the hem of the sleeve. Now I'll just trace that and I have my pattern piece. I made my seam allowance 1/4 inch since I'll just be serging the edge. And if you're following along, you should also clip the corners of your pattern piece. I used that piece of fabric that I got from my hem to cut out my pattern pieces, and to prepare the Gildan sleeves for the gussets, I marked the seam allowance, which was 1/4 inward from where I had originally marked before. Then I used that information to carefully seam rip along the armhole, and I cut along the seam allowance that I had just marked to make some room for that gusset. This is what it looks like pinned. I ended up basting this triangle with a regular sewing machine and then just serging it to get a clean finish. And this is what it looks like finished from the inside. And lastly, the neckband. This part is absolutely unnecessary, but from what I can tell, it looks like the neckband for the Merz Schwanen is essentially binding both sides of the edge of the neck, whereas the Gildan shirt is just a neckband simply attached to the edge. So the first step was removing the rib knit neckband, but I held on to it because I knew it would be the correct length for the neck. And again, it was produced tubularly, so I thought it would look super clean with no side seams. When you apply a rib knit neckband to a shirt like this, you'll want to make sure the neckband's length is 80% of the circumference of the neck. If you were to make it the same length as the neck circumference, then the rib knit won't stretch to contour around that shape and it'll actually end up looking droopy. So the next step was to apply the rib knit to the collar of the shirt. I didn't get a clip of this, but you want to make sure to divide the neck and the rib knit into 4 sections so you can stretch that rib knit evenly, since remember it is smaller than this neck opening. So I sewed the rib knit with the wrong side facing me with a regular straight stitch at first. Then I folded this rib knit over to envelop the raw edge and took it to my cover stitch machine to do a narrow cover stitch along the neck, just like the Merz Schwanen. Mine honestly didn't come out as clean as theirs, but I'm pretty pleased with it. And here's the finished shirt. My husband really likes how it came out, and so do I. The gussets were probably the toughest part, but overall this project was super easy. Here's the before and after so you can see the difference. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, to prove a point, I wanted to do similar tailoring on a friend to show you that it can really be so simple. So here's a before and after on Oscar, and all I did was alter the hem by 5 inches. Now, am I saying that you should go out and buy a cheap t-shirt just so you can do this? Not really. And am I gonna make fun of you for buying a Merz Schwanen shirt? Absolutely not. But as I said earlier, in my opinion, this shirt gained so much popularity because people noticed how good the shirt looked on Jeremy Allen White because it was tailored to him. I think for Jeremy Allen White specifically, the hem was moved up because he's a shorter guy, and the sleeves are so tight around his arm because he works out. There's even this interview with Sydney Sweeney about how after they wrapped on Euphoria, she kept all of Cassie's jeans because they were tailored to her.
When I say they tailor them perfectly to fit me, I mean, you can't go buy those.
Celebrities spend so much more time on their appearance than the average person, and yes, sometimes that means working out, but it also includes simply wearing clothes that are flattering that a team picked out for them. When I mentioned the idea for this video to my mom, who's a professional tailor, she completely agreed with me, and she herself has worked with celebrities that will get a regular t-shirt altered so that it simply fits and looks better. So I want to encourage you to look at your closet and see if there's anything that you can have tailored to fit you better. Don't just think of tailoring as suits and business attire. This can apply to your favorite outfits too. Or you don't have to do that at all. Just don't compare yourself to people who have a team behind them with the intention to make themselves look as hot as possible. Don't be persuaded to buy a white t-shirt just because some guy looked good in it on TV. One last thing I'd like to mention about the pricing for the Merz Schwanen shirt is that the technicians sewing the shirts and working on the Loopwheel machines get paid more than a person working in a factory for Gildan or Hanes, for example. The Merz Schwanen shirts are not made in a sweatshop as far as I can tell, and that obviously adds to the labor costs. Now, I want to make it clear that I believe it is crucial for all workers in Hanes or Gildan factories to receive a livable wage and fair labor practices. I'm all for spending more money on basics to get ethically made pieces. But I also understand that it's important to be financially reasonable with your wardrobe and buy clothes that fit in your budget, fit your lifestyle, and most importantly, will last you a long time. And for something like an expensively made white t-shirt, that just does not fit into my lifestyle, which is spilling matcha on myself. I can actually see myself buying a Merz Schwanen shirt one day, but it just won't be in white. I had so much fun researching this video, and I just wanted to share one more fun fact. There's one character on the show named Fack, played by the multi-talented Maddie Matheson. As far as I know, he's the only cast member that's an actual chef, and his character is always wearing vintage t-shirts. As it turns out, these vintage t-shirts are from Matheson's personal collection. Not only that, but the outerwear layered pieces that Fack often wears over his t-shirts are sourced from Matheson's own fashion line, Rosa Rigosa. In my research, the only thing that the stylist mentioned sourcing for him are his little hats. I just think that's so cool. I didn't realize that he was a chef since he doesn't play a chef on the show, and I didn't realize that he was a producer and the chef consultant. I just have such an appreciation for the character of Fack now and Maddie Matheson. If you like this video and you want to see more examples of how to tailor everyday pieces to flatter you better, you can check out this video where I did exactly that, and I transformed some pieces in my closet that I wasn't reaching for as often. I'll see you there.